Hey guys, what is up? It is Bibs7 here again, and welcome to another RuneScape 3 video here today. In this video, I'm going to be talking about this week's update, which includes the new 4th Conjure for Necromancy, which is the Phantom Guardian. Just going to go over my thoughts on it and talk about what it does, and just give a little demonstration of how it works briefly here. I'm not going to do like a full PVM kill or anything. It's probably be not the longest video of all time, but just wanted to make something to cover this. I haven't made a video on the Monday updates recently, although I know I said that that was my plan, or at least my goal. There haven't really been anything in those updates that's been worth discussing. I, of course, made the roadmap video on like the 15th of August, and then since then we haven't really had much in terms of things to talk about on the Monday updates. They've just been patch weeks, but even in the patch weeks, there wasn't really anything that I thought was super worth making a full video to talk about. But I can go back and look through those just to make sure I didn't miss anything. But of course, I'm making this video. I'll be making a video when Ode to the Devourer comes out, which is, I believe, in 2 weeks. And then the Skilling Boss proper comes out in 3 weeks from now. So really looking forward to those updates. And I've still been playing quite a bit on my Iron Man, and I'm going to be continuing to upload those progress videos. So yeah, that's pretty much still the plan. It was just, I don't know. I haven't really been reading patch notes in the past year or so, maybe, I guess. So I wasn't sure if they were doing big patches in between big updates, but at least in this time frame, that wasn't the case, although I'm sure there'll be maybe like Game Jam or Ninja updates at some point. Anyways, let's get into the new Conjure to start things off here. So the new Conjure, of course, is the Phantom Guardian. Conjure Phantom Guardian is the ability that you must unlock at the Well of Souls. And these have the Conjure itself is slotted into the 5th tier of the Well of Souls, whereas the command ability is in the 6th tier. So you don't even need to have maximum souls to use the new Conjure, which I kind of didn't expect you to need either. I'd heard on Reddit and some other places that they had confirmed that you apparently won't be needing more than the current soul cap ever, at least for this Well of Souls tree. They said they could maybe add another skill tree somewhere else at some point, but there's never going to be a tier higher than 7 on this tree, apparently, and that's, of course, the 35,000 souls. So to get the Conjure, and it is, of course, the highest level Conjure that you will unlock, you only need 4,500 Vessel Souls and level 70 Necromancy for this Conjure. So it's not too bad. You can get it pretty early if you're not a high level in Necromancy. And then to get the command ability, you need 8,500 souls and 80 Necromancy. But at least from what I've seen so far, the command ability isn't really that great. And overall, I mean, I don't think Necromancy really needed anything crazy, but it is a bit of an underwhelming effect. It's pretty simple and basic, but it's definitely a powerful, more powerful than maybe you would think it is just based on hearing it. But basically, the Phantom Guardian will not attack enemies by default. You just conjure him, and you will get protected from 5% of normal attack damage. So as far as I understand it, that means that this won't protect you against typeless damage, which is the majority of special attacks from most bosses in the game. So it's quite a bit less useful than something like a Hellhound or the Aegis Aura, which does reduce typeless damage, and that helps way more than just the auto attack damage, because I mean, obviously, the auto attack damage being reduced at certain bosses is very helpful, but then at some others, then that's pretty much not going to be doing anything, and you're mostly worried about the special attacks. But still, overall, it's a nice little damage reduction, and there's a cap of it in terms of the amount of damage it can reduce, which is based on like your gear and your necromancy level and stuff. So right now you can see it's currently capped at 244 damage. And I guess I can do a quick calc on that. What would that be? Like divide by 0.05. So that would be a 5k hit, which is a pretty high damage hit for an auto attack type damage, or an auto attack type of attack. You know, like from most bosses aren't going to be hitting you that high with their auto attacks. So it's pretty unlikely you'll get the full benefit out of it. And even with an overload, I believe it actually goes up. So I will drink an overload. And now it's up to 254, which isn't a very big difference, but when you're talking about such a small amount as 5%, if I do 254 divided by 0.05, that's 5,080. So yeah, I mean, that would be, you'd think of things like High Enraged Zamorak, Telos, Archglacior as places that will get those high auto attack damages. I don't know how much Raksha's autos do nowadays. I know they used to be really high, but I might have reduced it at some point. But still, so you're unlikely to come up against that because it is only those core damage types, quote unquote. Although I guess it would work for things like Kalphite King's Green Attack, but that would obviously cap it out very easily. And I mean, there's a few other special attacks in the game that aren't typeless, of course, so those would also be impacted by this. So it's not the worst effect in the world. Just gonna basically passively reduce the damage you take, and alongside the ghost healing, of course, it is definitely going to be very, very strong. Now, I would say this is definitely lower tier of conjure than like the clear best ones are the skeleton and the ghost. The zombie is good for AoE, I guess, but is mostly not great. And then this guy, I would say, is fairly similar to the zombie in terms of usefulness, but still is just something like you can, of course, throw this in your Conjure Undead army, which I will do now. You just throw that in there and then you'll summon them all at once. So as long as you don't care too much about your ectoplasm usage, that is kind of like there's no reason not to have him out. Just take that 5% less damage, and that can be nice. So I'll summon him now. Also, it says, of course, here it generates 1 Valor stack with each upcoming hit, or with each incoming hit. This is what he looks like. He looks pretty cool. He's got that big old shield there to protect you, and he will kind of just stay near you from my experience. He'll just stick around you. He doesn't attack the boss or do anything else like that. But then, of course, we have the command ability, and it will basically deal a certain amount of damage to the target and 4 additional enemies within 1 tile of the target. And that damage is increased by 20% for each of the Valor stacks that the Guardian has. And this will consume all the Valor stacks. Now, the Valor stacks don't do anything else aside from using up and increasing the damage of this command. So it's not like there's any reason to save them, or you're not losing out on anything by using this command. It would have maybe been a little bit interesting if there was some sort of a trade-off, like the damage reduction was slightly increased by having the Valor stacks, but you could use them up if you wanted more damage. But I mean, 5% is already pretty good. I don't know if they'd really want to do it too much, but like if each stack maybe increased it by another 0.1% and it capped out at 7.5% once you had all 25 stacks, and then you could decide between using them or not, I think would be a little bit interesting, but maybe not. I don't know. That's just an idea that I thought of when thinking about this. But yeah, it does increase by quite a lot per stack, of course, 20% per stack. And yeah, I'm going to test it out and see how much damage it does. But that is pretty much it. That's the whole idea of the Conjure Phantom Guardian. Now, of course, if you want to slot this into your Conjure Undead army, you do need 106 Necromancy, which I only just barely have to be able to conjure 4 things at once. If you don't have it, I would probably say this guy is mostly going to be better than the zombie in most boss fights, like single target and stuff, I would assume. Although I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't really know how much damage the zombie deals, but I guess if you want to deal maximum damage, the zombie will probably end up being better, even if you're commanding this guy. But either way, it's definitely potential for you to replace the zombie with this guy to get that additional damage reduction if you like it at certain places. But if you have 106, obviously you can just slot him in and he'll come out with all the rest of your conjures like normal. And yeah, so overall, I mean, it's a little bit underwhelming. I didn't expect it to be super strong, but yeah, it's just kind of, I guess it's just kind of a boring effect. It's just, you get some damage reduction. There you go. So I guess, not much to talk about in terms of potential of it, I guess. But I'm going to just jump in here to a Solok fight just to see how much damage you can deal with the command ability. So let's get him out here. And I guess I probably should just conjured my whole army, but I'll bring the ghost out for the healing. The ghost is, of course, easily the best conjure. And yeah, I'm not really trying to do a real Solak kill here. I'm just kind of, I don't know why I even picked Solak. Probably a horrible choice for this demonstration, considering it's not going to be hitting me that much. Do I know this timing? Yeah, I do. I've done a ton of Solak in my day. I guess I should kill these things too, shouldn't I? I really didn't think this too thoroughly. But see, the stacks come up that's another thing if you're thinking about using this guy at certain bosses. The stacks are going to come up very slowly at certain places, like here, and pretty much anywhere where you're only getting attacked by a single target. I'm going to life transfer to keep him alive. But you can see these little shields that he's popping up. Those are the damage. That's the damage that he's removed and reduced from me. So that is, of course, good to note that he's actually, you can see what he's actually affecting as far as the damage is concerned. How many stacks are we at? We're at 23 stacks, 24. One more hit will put us at 25 stacks. And now I'm going to use the command Phantom Guardian ability. Let's see how much damage it does. 7,863, I think that was. I thought it was that 700 hit, but that was definitely my Vengeful Ghost. And I didn't know he did that, but he said for Bibzuda 7 as he used it. That was kind of funny. So yeah, like you could maybe get a max stack of it off. Like say you're at Raziel or something, that will obviously add up quite a bit. I guess that this would be really good at Raziel in particular because he doesn't do any typeless damage. So that's just something I randomly thought of. But like at Raziel, of course, you're getting hit by all his minions. You know, a lot of stuff is going on in that regard. So you could probably get a lot more usage out of it. Let's see how that works at Raziel here. Why not? I mean, I'm just kind of doing live testing at this point. That's how these videos tend to go a lot of the time, honestly. But yeah, I don't have my Necro Prayer. Anybody else just swap Necro and Mage Prayer whenever you're doing a boss that needs Necro Prayer? And if they ever require both at any boss, you're screwed, because that's where I'm at. Now, is he gonna summon the minions if I walk near him? Yes, okay. So, like, for example, we're here at Raziel, of course, and he is reducing that damage taken by all of these hits. And I'm just kind of not really DPSing at all. You can see the stacks are going up much, much more quickly here, and my prayer got dropped. I forgot that he does this garbage. This is why this boss is just a DPS race most of the time. But yeah, see, we're already at 25 stacks. I can command him. And he says, for Bibzuda 7, he hit 8.5k that time. I do have Undead Slayer on here and stuff, but I'm just getting smashed. But yeah, standard Raziel things here. But you can see what I mean, right? He obviously does quite a bit more when you're at a boss that has multiple minions hitting you, or even any boss that has a faster attack rate. And especially if their special attacks aren't going to be using typeless damage. But even still, I mean, that's a pretty decent sized hit, right? But I mean, I guess it would still be worth using at the max stacks, right? I'm not even certain of that, to be honest with you, because I don't really know a whole, I mean, I know how to DPS. He has a cool despawn. I will give him that. I do know how to DPS, of course, with Necromancy and do decent damage. But as far as is that worth using, I guess it probably is. Like it's a little bit less good than like a 0 stack Death Guard spec, but it's a decent chunk of damage. And since there's no reason not to use it as far as the actual stacks are concerned, you might as well like throw it in as a filler in between Living Death rotations. I would assume is probably your best bet. You can use it instead of using like a basic attack. Is I guess what you would think about. So that's pretty much it for my thoughts on the fourth Conjure. I mean, after being over a year wait for it, again, I don't think Necromancy needed anything super strong. It's just a little bit of an underwhelming. Like, yeah, okay, he's you just throw him into the Conjure Undead Army. But like, imagine they hadn't made Conjure Undead Army like. And this guy costed adrenaline to summon and how it used to be, that horrible system. I might not even bother with this guy in a lot of cases, honestly. But yeah, I mean, Conjure Undead Army, honestly, pretty much redeemed Necromancy for me because it was horrible before where you were using having to summon each conjurer one at a time. And then I think Command Ghost costed like 70 or 80% adrenaline or something. I don't even remember. It's way better now. Even with nerfed values, it's just far, far more fluid and smooth. So yeah, that's kind of part of even why I thought about coming back originally, was like, oh, they actually fixed it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Conjure itself. I'll move on to a couple other things. There is maintenance tomorrow morning for 4.5 hours, I think they said, which is quite long. But yeah, who knows what this actually means, but the game will be down for a while tomorrow morning. And then for patch notes this week, they reduced the amount of progress it takes to make primal armor spikes, because apparently they were overly, overly long compared to the others. And that's pretty much it. Also, they've made certain Barbarian Assault rewards available to Iron Man for some reason. I mean, I don't know what these do or if they even have any effect, but the Penance Trident and the Penance Trident upgrade, and then the Attacker, Collector, Defender, and Healer insignias are now available to Iron Man. So kind of just like a random patch note of them adding. I mean, there's a lot of things in Iron Man that, depending on your opinion, maybe shouldn't be available to Iron Man. But then there's also a lot of things that make no sense to not be available. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird what they choose to change. It's random times like this. But yeah, I mean, that was it for the patch notes. So it was pretty similar to that in the last few weeks, in terms of the patch notes, like a pretty short list of nothing super interesting. And, maybe a couple of things that I would mention. I'm quickly looking at last week's patch notes, and yeah, there's nothing here at all that is even worth mentioning. So yeah, I think fair enough for me not making. They did release this really cool quest preparation dev blog is what it's called, but it's a really detailed and interesting run through of basically everything you need to complete in order to be able to do Ode of the Devourer, which is coming out on the 16th, of course. So it shows you like a whole list of all the quests you need, and then it just literally goes through all the requirements, what they are, and what like things you need to complete, and how, like, they even talk about how to train up your archaeology, because you need 86 archaeology for Tomes of the Warlock, which is one of the required quests. So they say, like, give you like tips: excavate at your highest available spots, upgrade your Madoc every 10 levels, don't ignore research and mysteries. They talk about how you can kill Hermod. They link the RS3 guy's guide for killing Hermod to get your necromancy up and get better at necromancy, how to get vessel souls, how to do the fort from Fort Ferentry. I mean, it's really detailed and good guide to getting prepared for this quest. Now, if someone who was completely unprepared and had none of this ready, this came out on the 27th of August, so that would have given you a little over, or wait, 1, 2, 3, yeah, about 3 weeks to do all of it. And maybe that is doable, but for a super casual player, I don't know how long in advance they'd want to release this type of info, but it might be better for them to have done this earlier than this time for people who are way behind. But it is very, very well done and detailed, and a good standard that they hopefully continue with in the future for upcoming quest releases. So yeah, it is. I mean, it's pretty high requirement. 86 archaeology is a really high like number skill level. Like, not a lot of quests require 80 or anything higher than that in skills. So to have that locking the newest quest behind it is, in my opinion, good. But some people might not like that, and they of course moved a lot away from completing, or from requiring prior quests to complete newer ones in the recent past, and just made the rewards locked behind those other quests. So interesting to see them going the other direction with that. I don't see, do they actually say what the requirements for the quest itself are going to be, or is it just all the prereqs? Like, is there no specific requirements for the quest itself? I don't see any on here, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to fighting the demo of the skill boss, which is just going to make me want to do more of it. So yeah, hopefully it's cool. So that was a really cool article. I liked that. They also released the drop rates for the Sanctum, Osius, and Daemonheim Archaeology, which I guess I could have made a video on. I kind of forgot about this, in all honesty. When did I make? Yeah. So maybe I could have made a video on this, but maybe it didn't deserve a whole video on its own, kind of debatable. But they did release all these drop rates, and I'm not going to go through every single drop rate because that would be kind of pointless, in all honesty, but I'll just talk about the ones that I found interesting. And if you want to see them all, of course, go to the RuneScape homepage, and they have the drop rate blog right there. So yeah, interestingly, the manuscripts are 1 in 10 for every boss kill, which I feel like should maybe have been 1 in 5. It's going to be kind of hard to upkeep those scriptures if you use them a lot or whatever. But still, it's not horrible. And crazily enough, in normal mode, the tier 95 Roar of Awakening and Ode to Deceit are 1 in 50 drop. So that's pretty wild. They're not even that rare. And that's just like going to make them super cheap and easy to get for anyone, pretty much. Additionally, the boss pet is 1 in 400 in normal mode. Then moving on to in hard mode, the weapon drop only increases by a little bit. It's 1 in 40 instead of 1 in 50. So it's barely even better for the weapons. And then the Shard of Genesis Essence is 1 in 80. So that is a pretty brutal drop rate for that item. And you're going to need to be doing a ton of those to get all of your tier 100s on an Iron Man. But good to know that is, just good to know the drop rate, I guess. And also importantly, if you get a scripture or a divine rage prayer from Nakatra, that is the same drop rate as a shard because it's a 1 in 80 to get the book drop table. And then, of course, you can get either one of the 2 books, or you could have gotten the Shard of Genesis Essence with a 1 in 80 as well. So that's kind of depressing if you hit that table. And additionally, the boss pet is quite a lot more common. It's 1 in 240 as opposed to the 1 in 400, and the threshold is 80 on that. So yeah, cool. Interesting to know that, but definitely wild that the Shard of Genesis is 1 in 80, but then how common the weapons are is just crazy. But cool to see the drop rates there. And then at Osius, the Heart of the Berserker, 1 in 200, and then the Occultist Ring is I don't know, these numbers are weird. Basically, there's a 1 in 133 chance to hit the rare items, quote unquote, table. And then once you hit that, you have a 2/3 chance to get the Occultist Ring or a 1/3 chance to get the jail cell key for the little pet dinosaur things. So basically, every 3 rolls, you'll get 2 rings and 1 key on average. I've not killed this, so I don't really know if that's, I don't really know much about the boss or how long it takes to kill or the drop rates, but yeah, nothing super interesting there. Additionally, we have the Daemonheim Archaeology stuff. So the Skekka's Hypno Wand, they gave the drop rates of 1 in 500 for the one that's dropped from Rex Matriarchs. So 1 in 500 from any of those. Oh, I see. So basically each of these activities each item has a preferred activity. And so if you're killing Rex Matriarchs and you get a Skekka's Wand piece, you will get the preferred piece 70% of the time. Otherwise, 30% of the time you'll get a random piece. So you could get them all from one place, but these are just the drop rates from so the Hypno Wand Focus is the preferred item from Rex Matriarchs, but you can go there for a 1 in 500 drop rate on the 70-30 chance. For the Projector, that's from the preferred from the Anachronia Agility course, and it's a 1 out of 3,500 from each obstacle on the Agility course. The Handle is gotten from Vile Blooms, and the most common drop is from Luminous Snagglers and Liverworts at 1 in 1,400, so that's pretty rare. And then the Hypno Wand Base is from Big Game Hunter at a rate of 1 in 150. So from what I can tell, you'd probably want to do BGH or Rex Matriarchs to get this. But I guess it depends on how the numbers work out with 70-30 on the random extra ones. And lastly, the Balarax Sash Brush from the Archaeology itself. The drop rate, I'm just talking about the drop rate from the highest level spot, is 1 out of 11,200. And that is on excavation success when you gather a material, just like all the other archaeology items like Inquisitor's Staff and Masterwork Spear Tip. So that's a lot more common than the Masterwork Spear Tip or the Inquisitor's Staff, which is good, although it is still quite rare and will probably take you a long time to get that thing. And I'm not even sure if it's that great, but either way, that's pretty much it for the drop rates. Pretty cool to at least get that information, if not exactly what we were expecting. And that is pretty much it. We have the 110 mining and smithing post-launch, which also occurred the 19th of August, but I don't think there was anything in here that was really worth mentioning. They did say in a different video, or I think it was actually on a Reddit post, that they are planning to at some point add some sort of passive or spec to the two-handed sword, the Masterwork two-handed sword. So that is good to hear. And they will already be doing that on release for the Masterwork range weapon with 110 woodcutting and fletching. So I am glad that they at least listened to the complaints about the uselessness of the sword and the fact that it being Masterwork should have some sort of additional thing. But yeah, also membership price is going up and people are in an uproar about that. I think it is pretty crazy how much they're increasing it by. And just again, a lot of people talk about the comparison to other MMOs, and I find that kind of interesting, but having not played them, it's a little bit tough to have that discussion myself, so I won't really get into it here. But yeah, if you want to buy membership at the current price, it's going up on the 27th of September, so be aware. That's going to be it for this video, though, you guys. I hope you all did enjoy it. Again, I'll be making videos on Monday updates for the most part, whenever there's something worth discussing. Again, I could have done a video on the drop rates initially, but for the most part, I just felt it was probably best to wait for a full update to just go over everything that I had missed. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you excited for the upcoming quest and skilling boss? I know I am for sure. And yeah, I'll probably be back with another hardcore Iron Man progress here soon, and I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching. Peace out.